The most recent UAPDF congressional hearings brought some very, very big news. The ultimate one being Lou Elizondo's alleged UFO that was around 1,000 feet in size. Now, the jury's still out about it, especially considering that it wasn't actually a fully verified image before it was presented to Congress. And that has left a huge question mark over the legitimacy of said image, and people have torn that image apart, literally, and attempted to thoroughly debunk said image. It's been a pretty rough time, but there was another part of the UAPDF congressional hearing that kind of slipped under the radar because of the overshadow of Lou Elizondo's image. And that was Eric Davies, who told Congressman Bullison about that he's aware of 4 different alien species. Now, this is kind of crazy. Obviously, when you think of alien species, you typically think that there might only be like one extraterrestrial, right? I mean, I know that's a very broad thing, but obviously as humans, we are a human race. We are one type of extraterrestrial, for example, but we're aware of 4 others, which is crazy. So in this universe, we're aware of actually 5, I suppose, if you include humans as well. But these include some very big things, but the claim that Dr. Eric W. Davis, an astrophysicist known for his work in advanced propulsion and extraterrestrial intelligence, publicly discussed 4 types of extraterrestrial species, specifically greys, Nordics, reptilians, and insectoids. So this stems from recent posts over on X dated between the 1st and 2nd of May of 2025, and these posts allege that Davies made these statements during an exchange with the representative Eric Bullison at a UAP Disclosure Fund event, where he was accompanied by disclosure advocates and members of Congress, and the 4 species mentioned are commonly referenced in UFO lore. So these include the grey, which apparently are small, grey-skinned beings with large heads and almond-shaped black eyes, often linked to an abduction narrative like the Zeta Reticuli star system. And these are typically described as 3 to 4 feet tall, emotionless, words, conducting medical or genetic experiments, right? So these are like your typical sci-fi aliens. Think of Paul, for example, right? Those are apparently the greys. Apparently that's one that we're completely aware of. You've also got Nordics, which are apparently tall, humanoid, and human-like, often resembling Northern Europeans, as they depicted as benevolent, promoting peace and spiritual evolution, possibly from the Pleiades star cluster, right? That's another one that apparently he's gone on to talk about. We've got reptilians, which reptilians is a funny one because a lot of people say that, like, for example, Mark Zuckerberg is a reptilian. He's a lizard, apparently. And it's like usually the people who are the most successful, like the Illuminati type people that you typically see in like underground cults, are like these quote-unquote reptilians. But these are apparently large, scaly humanoid beings around 6 to 8 feet tall with snake eyes, and often portrayed as malevolent and linked to conspiracy theories about controlling human institutions, supposedly from the Draco constellation. And the last one is insectoids, which is less commonly described. But these are insect-like beings, sometimes resembling mantises, with slender bodies and large eyes, and considered highly intelligent or spiritual, though specific origins are less defined and popular accounts. Now, from the surface, from the get-go, instantly, I'm like, what the fuck? How is this what made it into the congressional hearing? Like, this is something of sci-fi novels. You'd see this in like kids' alien books or something like this, and it's like pop culturally joked about when it comes to aliens, and that's where the stigma comes to. But Eric Davis was doubling down on this concept.
Are they multiple species? Are they what was their size, and how many are usually on a craft?
They're typically the multiple species. People are familiar with the greys, the Nordics. People have talked about reptilians and insectoids. It's not that they're reptilian or insectoid, it's that they resemble to the recipient of reptile or insect type humanoid, because they have this a head and 4 limbs and torso.
So large, small?
Human size, human scale.
And are there how many are accrued?
Well, the greys I'm familiar with from investigating the crash at Corona, which is misnamed the crash in Roswell. It's not the crash in Roswell, it's the crash in Peru, Mexico. Those were grays, those were 4 foot tall. And the Nordics are typically human sized, probably, I've heard 5, 6 feet tall. And same with the people who mislabel reptilian insectoid, they're roughly that height too. I haven't heard anything about anything 7 or 8 feet, 9 feet tall. Of that nature.
I mean, like I say, of all the things that have come out from the UAPDF Congress hearing, it's not the most ludicrous. It's still got more tangible possibility than that of Lou Elizondo's image, but you know, he is called the disinformation man for a reason. But another interesting thing that's come out is a recent Joe Rogan episode. Now, Joe Rogan, of course, is someone who's really hot on the topic of UAPs and disclosure, and he seems to take a vested interest within it. And you know, he talks to some very interesting people. Now, he recently had Hal Puthoff, on his podcast to talk about the hypothesis around intelligence and the UAP phenomena. But he also talks about ultra-terrestrials. Now, this is interesting, of course, because when you typically think about ET, it's extraterrestrial. It's you know, beings that that aren't human, I suppose, right? But ultra-terrestrials is a whole different ballgame. Here's Hal to talk about it.
As far as where they come from, or what they're doing here, I myself have written a paper called Ultra-Terrestrials, where I try to cover the gamut. And I cover everything. Yeah, they could be spacecraft from some other galaxy whipping through here. Or maybe there's some Atlanteans left over from eons ago, and they're just kind of hiding out in the seabed or on some mountain range someplace. Or maybe some ET group showed up here 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, and they're hiding out with some bases locally and so on. And of course, we have a professor by the name of Masters who thinks that, well, maybe it's time travelers from the future coming back. And then there's the whole idea, since physicists like to talk about additional dimensions, you know, maybe they come from another. So anyway, then in my ultra-terrestrials paper, I list everyone I can think of and say, you know, we should be exploring all of these. So at this point, I would say we know it's NHI, non-human intelligence, but it's not clear what the source is. Maybe at a higher level of classification than I had access to, and maybe it's known, but right now I'd say we don't.
Do you have a
really
suspicion?
I guess my suspicion that it's likely non-human intelligence from some other galaxy or far out in our own galaxy that have come here but some time back, and that there are stations.
So when you hear stuff like this, it's no wonder that there's so much stigma around the UAP topic, especially just listening to these claims and stuff like this. It sounds like something pulled straight out of a sci-fi novel. It sounds like something that it can't be real, or it's too good to be real. But another thing that we've recently discovered is this whole topic of remote viewers. So remote viewers are for want of a better term, psychics who can basically leave their physical body and can go somewhere, anywhere in the world, and can find stuff out. Remote viewers. It's like an outer body experience, for want of a better term, right? And they go around, and this is apparently there's a lot of stuff to do with this within the CIA, and they harvest intelligence and feed it back to their respected organization, right? So Hal also talks about a remote viewer who found a UFO base, Mount Zeal, in Australia. Now, remote viewers are also another topic that's very stigmatized. It's very taboo, I suppose. It's like one of those ones where people don't take it maybe as seriously as they probably should take it. Yeah. But then when you hear stuff like this, again, it's no wonder that it's so stigmatized.
One of our remote viewers that was really good came up one day and said, I was looking around and I think I found a UFO base on Earth.
As you do.
This is during the remote viewing era, and oh my God, I've got to report this to my CIA contract monitor. And do I want to tell him that? And so I did, and one of the places he came up with some, but one of the places he came up with was Mount Zeal in Australia. And so my CIA contract monitor says, well, I know the station keeper, CIA station keeper out in Australia. I think I'll call him, and I won't tell him why I'm asking, but I'll ask him about Mount Zeal area. So he gave him a call, and he said, I'd like to ask you about that Mount Zeal area. He says, oh, you mean where the UFOs are always flying around?
Whoa.
So I thought, oh, gee,
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, it is bonkers. The whole premise, if you showed this to someone who didn't have an understanding or like wasn't actually vestedly interested in UAP disclosure, they'd call you fucking crazy. But this is genuinely like the kind of conversations that are taking place within the UAP world. What do you guys make of it all? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll spook you later. Peace.